Don't uck with Bud. I said, don't uck with Bud Crawford. These are the words of Brian Bomac McIntyre when he was asked about a potential future fight with none other than undefeated champion, WBC, at 140, Devin the Dream Haney. I'm going to do my best to paraphrase, give you guys all the deets. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Listen, Brian Bomac McIntyre, Crawford's trainer. He was on The Boxing Voice. He did an interview, and he was asked some things. I'm going to break it down and give you my perspective of what was said. So during the interview, they were talking about other things, and then the conversation came up, and the host said, "Oh, I forgot. I'm glad I have you on the line. I wanted to ask you." And basically referenced Eddie Hearn. I guess at some point, Eddie Hearn, there's an article or an interview where Eddie Hearn, make sure you guys thumb up the video, subscribe, it's free, hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss a thing. Eddie Hearn has recently stated, according to them, that he knows Devin Haney wants to move to 147 at some point, and Devin Haney and the name Crawford, got mentioned by Eddie Hearn. And I guess apparently Eddie Hearn said that not now, but in the future, that's a fight he fancies, and he would like to match Devin Haney with Terence Crawford. So they were asking Crawford's trainer, since they had him on the line, what do you think of this? Now, what I noticed is Brian Bomac McIntyre, he almost paused, like he had to gather his thoughts, or like as if he was caught off guard, if you will, by the whole question. And stay tuned to the end of the video. I'm going to explain why I think that is the case. So after he did this like brief pause and gathered his thoughts, collected his thoughts, he then went to say what you heard at the beginning of the video. Don't f with Bud. Don't uck with Bud. And he basically warned Devin Haney or Eddie Hearn or anybody who's trying to see his fighter, in that way. And he went on to say that Bud Crawford would literally ruin Devin Haney's career if they were to fight. And he kind of like laughed it off, like basically don't do that. That's not what you want. In the words of Lil Uzi, this ain't what you want. This ain't what you want. Hey, this ain't what you. He's basically saying that and extending that warning, like Crawford will ruin you. Then the host said something to the effect of, "Oh, when you say ruin, Shakur Stevenson is a guy from the lighter weight divisions, and he spars with Bud, and there's some good sessions we hear. So what about that? Is it really your fighter will ruin him, because he spars with Shakur Stevenson?" And then Bomac had a great answer. Bomac said something to the effect of, "That's sparring. It's different. We're talking about no headgear, 8-ounce gloves, and when it all counts." And I thought this was a brilliant response from Bomac, because sparring, hopefully you guys understand this. If you watch my channel, you would know this. Sparring is sparring. Sparring really is I'm not going to say overrated, because it's preparatory. It's preparation for you to get ready for your endeavor, or just stay sharp and get your timing down and stuff like that. But what I mean when I'm saying it's overrated, it's not overrated like don't do it. I'm saying it's overrated, or almost like overhyped. Like people make a big to-do about sparring, but sparring doesn't really matter. The other thing is you got to look at the dynamics. Shakur Stevenson has the utmost respect for Terence Crawford, vice versa. They're boys, they're partners, they're homies, they're friends. So they have that good brotherhood and camaraderie, little bro, big bro type of thing going on. So I don't know. I haven't seen Shakur and Terence Crawford spar live, so I don't know what the sparring sessions consisted of, but I do know that that's his folks, and they, respect each other. And you've never heard Shakur Stevenson really say anything negative about Terence Crawford. Same thing with Crawford. Even Shakur's last performance, which wasn't his greatest work with Edwin De Los Santos, Terence Crawford's like, he got the win, and he didn't take it there, didn't say anything negative. They're friends, right? So that's one dynamic. They're friends, so they're probably trying to work with each other instead of like badly hurt each other and things like that. No doubt, it's sparring. Both guys are insanely competitive, but I highly doubt, maybe occasionally it gets out of hand where, You know, the guys are in an intense competitive sparring session, but it's different when you're truly friends with the person. The thing about Crawford, and I know this for a fact, I've never picked against Crawford except the Errol Spence fight, and Terence Crawford made me eat my words, right? So we know Crawford is one of them ones. He's a beast. He's a maniac. He's maniacal. He's rabid. When the bright lights are on, Crawford shows up. And, you know, you really have to consider picking against him, you know, in any fight, right? But if you were to pick against him, it would have to, for me, it would have to be a guy equal in size, maybe even bigger than him or whatnot, for you to even consider that. This is my honest opinion, I really don't see someone moving up in weight and like ucking with Bud, because you're at a deficit on top of all other things. And then the host said something to the effect of like, oh, Crawford, he's 36, 37, and Devin Haney's 24. But Crawford, B. McIntyre, he also answered that very well. He's like, yeah, he is that age, but Crawford takes care of himself. He's healthy. He's not letting, you know, different things ruin his body and things like that. So it's not like, and he's not taking a lot of punishment in fights. You never seen someone just beat up and batter Terence Crawford. So it's completely different as opposed to like, I don't know, Eric Morales at 38 or something like that, when he's been through so many wars with Pacquiao and, you know, young guys like Marcos Maidana and Danny Garcia. We're talking about different things. Crawford ain't never been beat up, battered, and bruised up by nobody. You know what I'm saying? So you can't really say like he wouldn't age gracefully in the sport. So I agree with Bomac there. Now, Devin did his thing with Regis Prograis. I was there. I loved the performance. I'm a throwback guy. You know, I have throwback, I guess, ideas or whatnot when it comes to boxing. And I know weight classes exist for a reason. And I truly think weight matters. I'm not a big proponent or a big fan of people just radically jumping through weight classes. So I personally would like to see Devin Haney do work at 140 pounds, you know, solidify yourself there even further than what you've already done. There's great fights for him. Obviously, people want to see the big fights, Gervonta, Teofimo. You got Ryan Garcia. You got Subriel Matias's unification. You know, you got other great fights like Liam Paro might be something that's considered, Richardson Hitchens. You got options. Shakur, if he moves up, things like that. But I'm not really understanding the whole talk about Devin moving up to 47 so prematurely. And then even still, if he does, I don't know, to fight Crawford, that sounds like it's asking a lot, because Crawford is a seasoned vet. And I mean, he showed you in his last fight what he talking about. He got all stoppages at welterweight too, you know what I mean? Stay tuned to the end of this video and I'll explain why I think B. McIntyre was caught off guard by the question of Crawford ever fighting Devin Haney. But now a word from our sponsors. The future is now. The Hibernation 5s by Kenichi Bear. Hybrid gaming and lifestyle headphones. Out of the box, you can connect to any console or PC. Bluetooth ready with a low latency USB adapter, color RGB, and extreme bass mode. The Hibernation 5s adjust to you. Whether you need a gaming, travel, gym, or lifestyle headphones, the Hibernations got you covered. The new Hibernation 5s, link in the description. Customize the way you hear the world. Welcome to the nation. And we are back. So for me, when I was looking at this interview with Brian McIntyre, the reason why I think he was caught off guard with the Devin Haney question is he probably wasn't familiar with this conversation from Eddie Hearn trying to match up Devin Haney, and he probably never looked at Devin Haney as a potential foe for Terence Crawford. In fact, both fighters are snack athletes. So they're both with snack, and I know for a fact because I was in the snack gym one time and they were both there, and Crawford was giving advice to Devin Haney, you know, as he was sparring, you know, because it was a sparring session that we had watched. So I don't think Bomac really looked at Devin Haney as somebody who would ever fight Crawford. And you know what they say, your idols become your rivals. So I don't know. People, I mean, I don't get in the way of fights. So if they want to fight, it's cool. But I'm just giving you my honest opinion. I would leave that boy Crawford alone because that's just a whole new weight class, and we know what Crawford comes to do. And then you have his trainer very confident in the Errol Spence fight. He told you, and then everything they said came true, and now he's saying the same thing. Leave that alone because Bud would ruin Devin Haney. And it's kind of like no point for them to really fight. Like, that's just like it's like Kell Brook versus Triple G. Like, Kell Brook's career was arguably never the same after that, and you didn't even need to take that fight. So, I'm not really a big fan of fights like that don't make sense. But again, if Devin Haney's chasing greatness or whatever, and he wants to fight Crawford, have at it. Be my guest. I'm just giving my honest opinion. Now, I did see another interview, which I'll kind of just link and lump up, where Red, who was also one of Crawford's friends and trainers, he was asked the same question, and he laughed, and he said, like, no comment. Like, basically, I'm not even really entertaining that. Like, if you want to fight Crawford, follow up with the call out, because he's basically, it sounded kind of intimidating if you think about it, because he's basically saying, like, if you really want it, press the issue with Crawford and see what will happen. That's kind of how I perceived it. And that was an interview done with Fight Hype and Crawford's trainer Red. So for me, I'd rather see Devin Haney stay at 147. He's free to do whatever he wants, or stay at 140 instead of 147. But again, he's free to do whatever he wants. We'll see what the future holds. But, as far as I'm hearing names like Jerron Boots Ennis versus Devin in the future and Terence Crawford, I think those are super dangerous fights. And you already have dangerous fights at 140. So maybe consider one of those, or see what Tank is talking about and what his terms are. I don't know. But 47, you definitely want to at least take your time in moving up. My honest thoughts.